One of the most famous indicators in the world that has helped many traders in recent years to improve their performance is the so-called Supertrend. Well, what would happen if we adapted this indicator from the data provided by the different moving averages? Well, we would get an even more effective Supertrend, and that we can use in all types of assets and in any seasonality. In today's video, we will show you step by step how to use this indicator and the different strategies we can use to improve our trading. Welcome to the Trader's Game. And before we start, remember that in the description you have the links to join us in our Telegram community, where every day we post charts and analysis of what is happening in the financial markets. And also the trading bonus page, which has been updated and have added new promotions and free bonuses for all those who are starting in the world of trading. Do not forget to leave your email if you want to receive a weekly newsletter with everything that has happened during those days. The first thing we have to do is to go to the indicators section and look for the Supertrended moving averages from the same creator of the mythical Supertrend. It will appear something like this, which, as you can see, simply by placing it, gives us enough information about trend changes and how we can take advantage of them. At this moment we are in daily temporality, but we are going to go down to 1-hour candles, where we could use day by day all this information. Even so, the first thing we are going to do is go to the configuration part, where we can choose from a fairly large list the type of moving average that interests us to combine. In this case we will use the whole trend, as it is one of the most effective. You see how it changes the graph and shortens those areas of indecision to make the trends much clearer. Secondly, we will change the length from 100 to 150. As you can see, it has already changed a lot, and also this indicator also gives us the possibility to mark the buy and sell points on the chart itself, that is to say, to make it much more comfortable to detect those entry zones. Even so, I am going to remove it because a little later we will add other indicators to explain the best strategy. In the style part, we are going to remove these white colors that appear just in that area of indecision before the trend changes. We will not need them, and the rest you will place it to your liking. Placing the indicator in this way, in temporality for example of 1 hour, we can see quite clear entries where we could make our operations, simply taking into account the previous minimums and some ratios to the taste of each one, also according to the volatility of the asset that you are operating. For example, if we trade in Forex, the ideal would be to make operations of ratios 1 to 1, 1 to 1.5, or at most operations of coefficient 2 to 1, that is to say, for every 1 of possible loss in the stop loss, 2 of possible gain in the take profit. In more volatile markets such as cryptocurrencies, we can also look for even larger ratios. In the end, it is a very simple indicator, but it can help us to generate many profits, but we must adjust it by adding more indicators. The first thing we are going to do is to place another equal indicator, another Supertrended moving averages, and we will place again the same data that in the first one. In the type we will put whole, and in the length we will put 150, but this time we will change the time frame of this second Supertrend to 4 hours to be able to have a reference of what is happening in greater temporalities, and thus also to have clearer the main trend. And in this second one, what we will do will be to remove these green and red zones, and to mark that same information but in fixed lines. As you are seeing, we also place the downtrend and we give to accept. In this case you will also be marked these blue circles that we can remove, since we do not need them at all. And as you can see, besides having this first trend marked in 1 hour temporality, we also have the main trend of 4 hours marked with a fixed line, which we can already see that it would give us a support and pivot point, from which, despite the fact that first the trend changed to bearish for a few hours, at the time that we rely on that positive trend line in higher time frames, what happened is that after this bounce point the price continued with the main uptrend. And of course, this combination of the same indicator but in 2 different time frames gives us more information and makes it clear that at this point here, when the main trend is bullish and this pullback occurs, which is supported by that main trend, and which is again marked in green in our first super trend, makes it clear that this is a good entry zone. The stop loss will be placed below previous lows, and as I said, we will place our operation with a ratio of 1 to 1, 1.5 to 1, or even 2 to 1. Yes, I personally recommend that in each of these levels you go charging a percentage of your operation, since one of the most important things in the world of trading is to ensure our profits. In this type of operations, using the Supertrend, you can also use your basic knowledge of trading, for example, to place accompanying trend lines, with which you can see even more clearly those rebound zones, where the main trend rests for a few hours to continue its trajectory, in this case bullish. You can see very clearly those contact zones following our simple accompanying trend line. This is one of the most beautiful things about trading, that combining more advanced knowledge, but in a simple way, we can get very good results, short and long term. But let's add a couple more things. First, we will place an EMA or exponential moving average, and secondly, we will place an ADX or average directional index, an indicator also quite well known and that surely many of you already use, because it basically tells us the strength of a movement or a trend. First, we go to the configuration of the EMA. We will place it in yellow. We will give it a little more thickness so that visually everything is clearer, and we will put a length of 200 periods. It would look something like this, and you can see how it gives us other extra support zones, where we also have some very clear trend change points that we could take advantage of. As you can see, just when the price crosses that 200-period moving average upwards, there is the change to green of the first super trend. This type of movement could be the beginning of a larger trend and we could take advantage of it. But be careful, because just in this case we see that the trend in 4 hours that marks the second super trend is negative. So we would have to be very careful, and in principle we should avoid this operation, since one of the rules is not fulfilled. On the other hand, many traders will interpret that if the price crosses down the 200-period average and then manages to get back above with strength, denotes a signal of great strength that could be exploited perfectly. I leave that to your taste, and of course the type of traders that you are, and if you have more or less risk aversion. In this case, as you can see, taking this operation, we would come out with quite a lot of profits. And now let's go with our lower indicator, the ADX. We will not touch anything in the data entry part, and in style you can choose the colors that you like. I'm going to put orange, for example. We give it to accept. And now I am going to add a horizontal line just in the zone of the 20 points of the ADX. You can go here, to configuration, and in coordinates you mark 20 to adjust it to the millimeter. As I said, the ADX informs us of the strength of the movements or trends, which is the perfect combination for this type of strategy. Here we have a very clear example, and is that we see that the price is above the average of 200, and turn also marks us that the main trend in major temporalities is bullish, and we also have the green wave in 1 hour temporality. Just when that candle or candlestick marks that change of trend from red to green, we go directly to the ADX and check if it is above the line that we place in the 20. If so, as in this case, we can place our entry, in this case the long. We place the stop loss below the previous lows, and as I said before, we will take the coefficient to taste of each one. On average, if you cannot spend much time in front of the computer, the most profitable is always to do it with coefficient 1.5 to 1, but as I say, it is up to you. A little further back we have a couple of very clear examples. In this case, in short, we see how this candle here, being already with the double super trend in red, both the 4 hour and 1 hour, crosses down the average of 200 periods, and in turn the ADX is above 20. All this indicates that it may be a good entry that we will take advantage again, for example with ratio 1.5 to 1, and as you see, after a few hours we return to take profits. The same thing would happen later. When this trend needs to make a pullback, the resistance zone occurs just where we have that measure of 200, and turn also passes the line of the 4 hour super trend, and it would be right in this area where we mark the first change of the wave from green to red, and then in turn we have the ADX above 20 and match the other rules of entry. We return to place our operation, stop loss in this case above the previous highs, and coefficient 1.5. As you can see, after the trend would continue to fall, so I say that sometimes when trading trends we can let run at least part of our operation. Finally, I want you to look at this intermediate zone, where we also had that change from green wave to red wave. We are below all these averages, however the ADX is below 20. This would invalidate our entry, and as you can see, the price rises again quickly and gives us a better entry a little later. This you have to be very clear, and is that you should not be in a hurry to enter operations that do not respect all the rules. In the long run, you will always make more money if you are disciplined and act with a cool mind. So as always, we hope that you will try this strategy, that you liked our work, and if so, please do not leave your like. That is free and helps us a lot. Finally, remember that in the description you have the link to our free Telegram community and the official page of Trading Bonus, where all those who are looking for the best platforms for trading, both in Forex, crypto, as in the traditional market, you will find the best bonuses to get started. Thank you very much for watching us one more day, and see you in the next video of the Trader's Game.